So, welcome all. Thank you very much for coming. Thank you also to you who have contributed presentations and who are going to contribute to the content of this DemFest 21. To open, might I acknowledge that we are all on lands of Indigenous peoples and pay our respect to their elders past, present and emerging, and to acknowledge their unceded sovereignty of the lands in Australia and probably North America, but there was treaties there. And also to acknowledge that underneath the lands of the Indigenous peoples on who—
Are you unmuted, Peter?
Am I what?
Yeah, he is.
Yes,
I
can hear him.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay, good, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And to acknowledge that underneath the lands of the Indigenous peoples on who we are the Earth's ecosystems, which nurture, support and protect us. Gilles, can you work out with Bob, please, why he's not hearing us? It's not clear to me, other than that he's on mute himself.
Volume switch, perhaps.
I think that may have done it. Bob, can you hear us?
I can hear.
Yeah, I think everyone can hear except Bob, who is suddenly having a technical difficulty.
Well, I've unmuted him, I think.
Well, it wouldn't be a Zoom session without someone having technical difficulties.
I can.
All right, so the purpose of the DemFest at the beginning of the year when we first started planning this was to sort of celebrate local democracy in Australia, because in Australia there is a broad range of sort of local democratic things bubbling up and lots of experiments being run. And we thought that it would be really useful to bring all those players together into the same space to share what was going on, to share insights and to learn from other people. And also in the process of this, to set up a website, which would be a bit of a clearinghouse of knowledge and experience that these people had. And then we also hope that that would then inspire other people to get involved in the electorate level democratic movement. So in Australia, at least, there are about 4 streams in the electoral democratic movement. We were inspired initially by Indi. Independence and micro parties have been an issue for quite a few decades now. But then there are a group of people who are organising to change their MPs. Mainly this is in conservative electorates, Liberal National Party electorates, where the focus is on not enough action on climate change. Then building on this is Rob Salter and his idea of organising to empower communities to have their MP work for them. There's also emerged, and this is most of the people here, this group of people who are wanting to either inform voters about their electorate and politics and what's happening, and to provide technical support for voters to be involved. And this is things like Smart Vote, Vote Easy, and the Canberra Alliance's own work on candidate statements. And then there's a bunch of people like Place Score, who is sort of helping people or electorates know themselves. So there's quite a lot of disparate action happening here. And so when we were talking about drawing these threads together, that's why we're all sitting here around at DemFest at the moment. Now, most of you probably don't need to know this, but we're going to run through it quickly anyway. So the program page on the DemFest website is basically the go-to place. Now, you've all obviously discovered the Zoom link and the passcode. And as we walk through this, we begin to get an idea of what's happening in each section of the day. We've divided the program up into the learning streams. We've got the 4 learning streams, and these are mirroring those sort of threads that are emerging in electorate level democracy. And so this gives you an idea of what's happening at any one time. You notice we've tried to make the sessions reasonably brief so we don't get bored, and have some space between sessions, which is balancing the risk of people deciding that they're going to go outside if the sun comes out and coming back for the next session. We were hoping to get Craig Rucastle or Christian Van Vuren from The Big Deal to come in this afternoon, but as of this morning, we haven't heard back from them. So we might have an early mark this afternoon. So, and that's tomorrow, which we'll worry about tomorrow. So for the moment, I think the rules of engagement are as per most gatherings like this. It's polite, respectful listening. And as you're already aware, everything is being recorded, and this will become part of the repository that we are going to keep forever, that people can come back to later. This might be useful for the community independence movement who are not represented at the DemFest today, because when I spoke to Kathy McGowan about this, she basically said they're all busy electioneering and don't have headspace for this. And they're also pretty clear in their own objectives and how they want to operate in the world, which is a shame, because I think you people who are presenting here are actually going to bring a new perspective that they could actually learn something from. However, because we're recording it, you will be there for posterity, such as there's ever posterity on the internet. And your insights and contributions will be available for them later if they choose to come and have a look. So we were going to do a bit of a Q&A back and forth and ask people who are here what they intend to get out of the DemFest. So we might do that. We'll just quickly run around. What I'll do is I'll name somebody off my screen. And I mean, I've sort of told you my position because that was pretty, significant in forming CAPAD's view of why we want to have a DemFest. So I'll go next to Gilles.
My expectations.
Yeah. What do you want to get out of the weekend?
Well, my major expectation is that we get as many people as possible participating. That's more a hope than an expectation, you're right. But yes, I'm hoping that we can see the rich diversity of ideas and opinions about what's happening, what people are doing. And I must admit, I've been most impressed by all the presentations I've gone through. That's all I have to say.
Okay, thank you very much. Bob?
Yeah, I think democracy is broken in Australia, and we have to find ways of repairing it. And I think the sort of exchanges we're going to have in various sessions could genuinely help to structure ways forward. So I think the presentations that are already on the website from some of the people who are already on this this call at the moment are very enriching. What I would hope is that we can elicit the essence of those for the Australian public, because I think we do have a real problem.
Great. Thor?
Well, collaboration is key in this area. If we don't work together with a common goal towards a common understanding of democracy, then the neoliberal project will continue to dominate and reach towards its goal, which is not in the interest of the majority. So by this coming together, what we're doing at the moment, clarifies and focuses our collective ideas on what we're trying to achieve, and through numbers there is greater strength.
Thank you. David? You're on mute.
Sorry, David Purnell from Canberra. I'm a sort of connected with CAPAD, but I'm not a very active member. But I'm very interested to hear all the sort of examples of initiatives that are being taken in different places, because I do think, along with what others have said, that we got a long way to go to get a bit more engagement, I guess, with the real issues. I mean, it is horrifying to me that so many of the real issues are just smothered in spin, and people are just told to get on with things and forget about it. So I'm an interested listener at the moment.
Thank you. Petra? All right. Plaxi? Listening in. Rob?
Petra and Plexi, I'm afraid we can't see you and your microphones are muted.
I suspect Petra and Daryl are sharing a screen, but there may not actually be. Oh, Daryl's there. Hello, Daryl.
It's halfway there. Microphone's still muted.
Yeah. Daryl's our tech support. So I'm sort of, in a way, skipping him because he's here to help if we have anything go terribly wrong with the technology. Yeah, and Plaxi may still be settling herself in. So we'll go across to you, Rob.
Thanks. I, like everyone else, it would have been, I think it would have been nice if we had more people, but I think it's important now to put that aside and to look what we can achieve with this number of people, which is, I hope, a very cozy set of discussions over the next couple of days, and one that we come from a rich variety of backgrounds, and I'm looking forward. I was very impressed with the presentations that were recorded and I viewed during the week, and I'm really looking forward to diving into some of the issues that were raised in those presentations, and to look at how we can particularly focus on spreading the message wider than this relatively small group of people.
Thank you. Evan?
I think, like everybody else, we have a broken system, and I think the way to get anything even close to addressing that is to share ideas and come together on those ideas. That said, however, I have to just give my apologies. I'm actually on holiday at the moment because post-COVID, we're allowed to travel. And so I'm not attending the full weekend. I'll have to depart after my session. But it's not lack of interest. It's simply the timing happened to not be the best.
Yes, yes. In fact, NINA, which is the new economic, whatever they call themselves, is also having their conference this weekend. And quite a lot of people who may have been here are there online as well. So that's the whole issue around timing is a fascinating thing.
It's always difficult.
Yeah, it is. Thank you. Rosalind.
Hi, thanks. Yeah, unfortunately, I probably will also have to go after our session because it will be midnight here and I probably have to sleep, much as I'd love to stay up until 4 a.m. Well, I think my expectations have already been fulfilled to some extent. I've met a lot of great panelists even through your videos, and I found your work very, very interesting. Thor and I have known each other for a few years because I've also run as an independent candidate in Ireland, so we have that in common. But I found Evan's tools for particularly around lobbying really, really interesting. I've done a few projects of that sort as well. So looking at lobbying and how money funds politicians, I thought those were really great tools that were developed, and I can see how they could be very useful in a lot of different contexts. Also, I think Marcus did the Beat Josh one, a participatory budgeting kind of thing, which was also, I thought, really, really interesting and really, really well done. So I feel like my expectations have already kind of been fulfilled. And I'm looking forward to having a chat, but it was already worth it just to kind of see all the things everybody else is doing and get to see all those presentations.
Great, thank you. Nick.
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm really interested in just learning more about the community organizing that's happening in Canberra specifically. It aligns a lot with our Center for Deliberative Democracy and Global Governance. We've been working on a project called Connecting to Parliament, and I think a lot of this aligns with some of the work that I'm starting to learn about, especially with how you partner with your MP. And so we've been running a couple of those experiments, and learning from those and trying to branch out. And so it'll be exciting to hear about how everyone else is working in the online digital engagement space, community organizing space.
Thank you. Marcus.
I'm here to learn and listen, and I agree with everything that's been said so far. I think that I find myself as a parent and as somebody who's employed always short of time. We as a species are getting short of time, I think, as well. And so I'm hoping that as a result of this weekend, I will have more clarity about what my focus could be, and also connect to more of you so that we don't have to duplicate each other's efforts, and we can perhaps try and collaborate and get things done sooner and solve some of the knotty problems of the world. I am in Australia, but as you can tell from my accent, I wasn't born here. I think if we can't get democracy right in a wealthy, prosperous, lucky country like we have here, what hope is there for Afghanistan? What hope is there for anywhere else in the world? And so I think we should try and get it right. And it's not easy.
Great, thank you very much. Robin. So as Robin, Toby, Plaxi and Petra, we're just sort of, the question is, what are your expectations from being at DemFest? So Robin, yes. And you're muted.
Hi, everybody.
So
Not
Plaxi,
on the camera.
yeah, Plaxi, we'll come back to Robin.
Oh, sorry. Okay, I'll keep going.
Keep going.
Robin, you're muted.
One thing that I don't know if you guys can hear me. I'm going to pause and see if Robin takes over.
We can hear you.
Why have I lost my...
Okay, Robin, you've got the floor.
Okay, I think I finally got it right. Sorry. I've unfortunately not had an opportunity to read the papers because of certain events over the last last week. And I've been in the environment where consultation is really important. And my concern is to try and work out how we can make consultation much more effective than it is at present.
Great, thank you. All right, Plaxi.
Hi, I am to my community building, democracy building work in my local neighbourhood into a broad context, and I'm explaining what individual contributions, the context that they will be contributing into is all about.
All right. Toby.
Hello, Toby. You're on mute as well. Toby.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
I can hear you now.
Yeah, my interest, I stood in the kind of local elections in London in 2014, and it was a really interesting experience, actually standing as a local candidate and seeing how things actually operate. And at the time, there was a lot of dissent about the Liberal Democrats because of what they did, and they lost a huge amount. By standing, I actually pushed out what was the leader at the time, and it was an interesting experience, and understanding the processes behind it, but also how once those power relations are built, And then it's it's difficult to remove some of the incumbents, even if they're not doing the best job, actually. So really interested in this, and I've been kind of talking with Thor quite a lot over many years now, since I've returned to Australia for a period, and you know, be interesting to find out more today.
Great, thank you, Toby. Petra.
Good day. Good morning, everyone. Great to meet you. I think my expectation is pretty low. I mean, I have a high expectation of good outcomes, but I think I've already met a lot of those just in hearing what you guys have had to say. And I hope to be able to contribute something. I hope to be able to learn lots. And I really appreciate what Marcus said about being able to maybe work together more as a group and not be duplicating our efforts. I'm really hoping that we can do that as a consequence of this festival. Thank you.
Thank you, Petra. And Peter Martin. Just observing you're on mute in case you're there and talking.
Yes, I am here. I'm in a shed on Kangaroo Island.
Oh, good. I can think of worse places to be.
Well, it works for that that organisation that received all those government funds to run the detention centres. So,
all right. So, yeah, look, I've just sort of tuning into this conference. There's an enormous amount I should have looked at already, which I haven't, and there's a lot happening over the next 2 days. So I'm active in Adelaide at the moment, looking forward to the state elections next March, and colleagues and I there are thinking about, would it be possible to have an independent candidate run on the basis of sortition and deliberative democracy. Anyway, so that's where we're coming from at the moment.
Fantastic. All right, thank you very much. So thank you very much all. What I'm going to do now is stop the recording and then start the recording again and introduce Bob for the next session.